I made $25,000 cash collected inside my coaching business in 1 week without signing any new clients, which sounds a bit weird. And inside this video, I'm going to show you, number one, exactly how I did that. Funnily enough, I almost missed it because I don't do sales calls. Well, I didn't sign any new clients anyway, but I almost missed it because it just kind of happened on its own. And the second thing I'm going to show you, which is probably much more important to you, is what it actually means for you. Because I actually find it really cringy doing videos talking about the money that I've been able to make. I actually think as a business coach, helping coaches build their businesses, it's much more important how much money I'm making for other people. But it gets clicks, and it's true, and it's good to show that this stuff actually works. But in my opinion, the much more important thing is, what does it actually mean for you and the current market dynamics that are at play at the moment? Because in my work of helping coaches, and I've been a coach for the last 10 years, and I've seen things change over time, stuff's changing in the market quite a lot. And the coaches that I see or speak to that are struggling are often the ones that have been coaches for quite some time, and they're still trying to do stuff that did work 5 years ago, sometimes even 3 years ago, sometimes even 2 years ago, that just doesn't work anymore. So they're doing the same amount of stuff, but it just doesn't seem to work. And that's because the market is well and truly changing, and we need to keep up with it. Me and my clients keep up with it, and this is how we're getting results like this. And in this video, I'm going to tell you the exact market dynamics and how to actually keep up with them yourself. But we're going to start with how I made the $25,000 in 1 week without signing clients, because it's quite important. And then I'm going to show you how it actually worked. So let's share my screen and let's get on with it. There we go. It worked. So obviously I had to take it from pounds to dollars because it sounds much better. It's actually 18,500 pounds, but $25,000 in a week just sounds so much better. But anyway, this was a week where, funnily enough, I didn't even notice. It just kind of happened. Things were just happening, and it just kind of happened. One of the biggest reasons I didn't notice, though, was because I didn't actually sign any new clients. In this week, no new clients joined my program. It was all people that were already inside of my world. So let's first of all look at exactly what actually happened to allow me to collect $25,000 in just 1 week without any clients. So let's go. It's all on one page because this is not the most important part of the video. But how did it actually happen? So alongside normal client payments, because obviously I've got recurring payments that are just going to happen anyway, and clients pay me every single week. So, there's going to be some of that. Within this week, I had 9 new client payments that hadn't occurred the week before. Now, I'm not saying new client payments as in like new client payments, but new payments that had happened from clients that hadn't happened the week before. 9 new ones. So really, it was those 9 payments that really boosted up the amount of cash that I was able to generate and take on that week. So these came from 3 places, right? Number 1 was clients upgrading to higher, more intimate tier to work together. So during this week, one of the things that I was doing was I was increasing the price to work with me one-on-one. So my program has multiple tiers of access. At most, it's had 3 different tiers: community tier, the kind of core tier, and then the one-to-one partnership tier. During this week, and all of these things just happen to land on the same week, so it's kind of lucky. But during this week, I was increasing the price of my one-to-one, and I was letting my clients know that at the end of this week, the price of my one-to-one is going to be increasing. So if you were ever thinking of jumping on, now is the time so you can lock in the older price. So there was a load of clients that did that. So clients that I already had that were now paying me double as much to work with me closer, right? Already quite nice. Second was clients recommitting to work together longer. So around this time as well, again, this kind of just happened, but there was clients that were recommitting to me in terms of we'd got to the end of one space of time and they were recommitting to go for longer. And then the final one that has a really important part of this overall kind of like video is the third place that they came from was clients re-signing as they came to the end of a 4-week sprint offer. I call it a sprint offer, right? So the third place that these came from is at this same week, I had been running a 4-week sprint offer where it was a really easy to say yes to, short, very specific, very process oriented offer inside my main program. But I was just kind of like, did a campaign around this specific offer where I was like, hey guys, we're going to do this specific thing in 4 weeks time. Within 4 weeks, who wants to do it with me? Got a lot of people signing up, 7 people signing up within the week. And a huge amount of those, after those 4 weeks, continued to work with me longer after that. So overall, out of those things, clients upgrading, clients that were already inside the program recommitting, and clients that had just joined the program on a different program re-signing, all in all, that was the thing that allowed me to generate $25,000 that week. But then as I continued to look, there was one more interesting thing that had happened. Out of those new 9 client payments, so those people that were either upgrading, recommitting, or re-signing, 6 of them had paid me something even before becoming a client in the first place. So 66% of these clients that pretty much paid me $25,000 in this 1 week had already bought something from me before, whether it was a workshop or a digital product or something like that. They bought something small from me before. And by the way, they can range from, in my world, they can range from literally £5 up to £100 or something like that, right? So small payments that some people think, oh, if someone's only going to spend £5, then they're brokies and they can't afford anything else. 6 of them had bought little things like that in the past. And now they were, part of a $25,000 month. So that's how I did it. Now let's look at what this actually means for you, because this confirms, and this is the important part of the video, honestly, because this stuff just kind of happened. This confirms the exact market dynamics I've noticed playing out recently inside of the coaching and consulting market. And again, I just want to reiterate this. What I'm about to share with you is so important because so many, especially experienced coaches that have been in the game for a while, are having such a hard time, not because they're bad at coaching, not even because they're necessarily bad at marketing. They are just doing what worked years ago and it just doesn't work anymore. And that's because these market dynamics are starting to shift. So let's have a look at what this has confirmed. And it's kind of 3 major things. Make use of these. So number 1, consumption creates sales. This is number 1, right? Right now, the market is louder and busier than ever. It's making it harder and harder and harder to stand out, right? There is people using AI and they're just being able to pump out loads and loads and loads of shit content. There's just loads and loads of competition all over the place. It's really hard to stand out if you don't manage to do it with your messaging and your positioning and everything else, which is already its own important thing. But it's very, very hard to stand out and really kind of get someone really, really bought into you in such a noisy environment. Most people, to actually be willing to buy your big thing, your big offer, most people need to consume a huge amount of your stuff actively to be able to get to that point. And you already know this thing that when people pay, they pay attention, right? So all of this stuff put together, the fact that the market's louder than ever, people need to actively consume your stuff to actually be willing to buy. And when people pay, they pay attention. It means that if we can sell a small thing to your audience, you will be able to warm them up so much more than just loads and loads and loads and loads of free content. This is exactly why 6 out of those 9 big sales that came through, 6 of them had bought micro offers from me before. And by the way, when I say micro offers, what I mean is you take something from your core offer So let's say inside of my program, I do a workshop, or I've got an asset, or I've got a GPT that helps people do this or whatever else. I take a couple of those things, I bundle them together, and I sell it as its own digital product. Sometimes I might run a workshop with it. Sometimes I might run a like a call with it or something else. I might do one of these things, but I take this thing and I sell it all together. That's the micro offer. When we can sell anything, and by the way, especially now with a more sophisticated market, sometimes it's easier to sell something than get people doing something for free, because when they do something or they see something's free, they kind of know that they are the product they're being marketed to. Whereas when we can sell something, people are willing to spend some money to solve something. So micro offers are absolutely perfect for this. Selling digital assets that you already own or you're already creating, to create customers and then to get those customers to actually consume your stuff. When we do enough of this, eventually, when these people are finally ready to choose coaching, like they don't want just products anymore, but they want a coach, they're going to choose the coach who they have consumed before. So number one is consumption creates sales. Okay. So let's just get this really, really clear. If you're only in the market shouting out about, what you're doing, throwing out loads and loads and loads and loads of free content, hoping to stand out and get people's attention for long enough for them to actively consume your stuff, and then you've only got your big expensive offer for them to go from free stuff all the way up to a big expensive offer, you're going to have a hard time. The amount of people that you're actually going to convert in your audience is going to be a really, really slim percentage, because there's only going to be a really slim percentage of people that are willing to make that jump. But when we can sell a small micro offer, this isn't to make a huge amount of money, but when we can sell a small micro offer, this is the thing that actually gets real active consumption, and people are actually going to watch the thing and go through the thing. That is the thing that is actually going to create sales. So number one is consumption creates sales. Are we actively trying to ramp up consumption, or are we just running around trying to chase more traffic, right? Because more traffic without the consumption isn't really going to do much. Second thing, people are buying short coaching engagements first. This is huge. And again, this is a huge portion of that $25,000 week. So many coaches are playing on hard mode, only selling the offer that they want to sell, right? So I know that you want to sell your most expensive, longest term package, right? That's the thing we want to sell because it's most profitable. We make the most money, right? So many coaches are kind of stubborn in terms of they're only ever really trying to sell this thing. But it's really, really hard to sell, because the longer an offer is, let's say it's 6 months or a year, there is a huge amount of resistance towards that, because there's a huge amount of ideas that someone needs to be bought into first before ever being willing to actually buy the thing, right? We could do this in month 1, this in month 2, this is month 3, all the way up to month 6 or month 12. That's a lot of ideas that they need to believe that they actually need. And then, of course, there is the whole trust in themselves problem, which is like, do I trust myself to stick to this for 6 months or 12 months? A lot of the time when we're selling coaching, we're selling to people that have never really been able to stick to this thing before. So if we're trying to now only get them to commit to 6 months or 12 months, there's a very good chance that they're not going to go for it because they just don't trust themselves to actually stick to it, right? So here's the thing. Most prospects want a single problem solved first, right? If you have a 6-month program or a 12-month program, you probably solve one problem and then the next and the next and the next and the next and the next. But most prospects are only thinking about the first one, the first thing that is a pain to them right now. And they want a process more than a program. Instead of like, I join because I get check-ins and I get this and I get that. They want a process. They want a process where you're like, hey, over the next 4 weeks, we're going to solve this one thing, this specific one thing, so they can see the outcome. And they're like, and this is exactly how we're going to do it. We're going to do this, then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this. Right? Most of my significance payments in this 25K week came from people continuing after a 4-week sprint offer. So I sold a 4-week thing where I said, it was called the visibility protocol, where I said, we're going to create your, together we're going to create your unique messaging. We're going to give you a hard reset in terms of your content, and we're going to set your content up so you're getting inbound leads every single week, right? Within 4 weeks. Really, really specific on what we're going to do. It was more specific if you read the offer, really specific in the process in terms of what we're actually going through to make this happen. So it's a really easy binary yes or no decision for the prospect. And that got me loads and loads of leads, inbound leads, and loads of people buying. And then most importantly, at the end of the 4 weeks, it got loads of people spending way more with me to commit to 6 months plus with me after those initial 4 weeks. And those people, and I've spoken to them about this since, they would not have straight away jumped on to working with me for, 6 months or longer straight away. But once they could see, oh, this one tiny thing, I really want to work on this one tiny thing. So they joined for this 4-week thing without needing to be this big commitment. And then they experience the coaching. They don't want to leave after that. So especially if you're one of those people, one of those coaches, it's usually the best coaches that say this, which is like, if once people experience my coaching, they don't want to leave. The hard part's just getting those sales through the door. And if you're one of those coaches that has really, really good retention, making it as easy as possible for people to join the program initially is one of the best things you can do. One of the sayings or the principles that we work with inside my program, and the way that I think, is we actually want to make it as easy as possible to create a client, and then as easy as possible to get them to pay us more. So people are buying short-term coaching engagements first. What does this mean for us? This means if you're only selling one high-ticket, long-term offer, you're going to be losing out on a lot of sales to those other coaches who are being more flexible and much more creative with their offers. So instead, what we want to do is we want to run short-term, and that short-term to me is about 4, 8, or 6 or 8 weeks, sometimes 10, sometimes even 12, can be considered short-term depending on the niche and who you're selling to. Short-term, easy yes sprint offers to acquire a client, and then make it easy for them to pay you more after that, right? This is why inside of the Align Creator, inside of the program that I run and how I help coaches, we actually have a core offer and we have an acquisition offer, because it's really, really useful to have an offer that creates clients that you optimize for acquisition of clients instead of keeping clients. Because when we can acquire more, then we can make more, pay us more. And then the final thing, maximize your top end clients. If there's one thing that you take away from this video, or let me say this another way, if there's one thing inside of this video that you can go and make thousands of pounds this month straight up just by doing this one thing, it is maximizing the top end of your clients. Because here's why. Every market, and even every single client base, if you've got even 20 clients right now, this is true for you as well, will have a spread of different individuals willing to pay wildly different amounts. That's just the truth, right? There will be people in your audience, and potentially even people inside of your client base, that are willing to charge 2 to 5 times more than your usual price. And if they're a client of yours already, 2 to 5 times more than what you're already charging them. And if you are doing what most people have been told, which is one single offer at one single price point, blah, 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 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way through, and you're charging the exact same amount to everyone that signs up and everyone inside your program, and not giving people the option to pay you more for deeper intimacy, you are leaving a huge amount of cash, results, and relationship on the table, right? Again, a huge amount of this $25,000 week was from taking clients who were already paying me and basically doubling their price, but everyone was happy. Everyone was happy because I'm giving them more of my time, energy, and attention. They're giving me more of their money. Everyone's happy, and I'm taking them further, right? Most people do never do this because they feel, first of all, they only have one tier inside of their offer, which is already just doesn't make any sense. If we can all agree that there are always going to be people inside any audience of anyone, any like pool of people that are willing to pay more and some that are willing to pay less. Why would we charge everyone the same for the same service if we could just simply have more options? It makes no sense. And if we really can increase how much some of our clients pay us by 2 times or 3 times more, well, then we are simply being much more economically, I don't know what the word would be, clever with what we actually have got, right? We're being so much more resourceful, and we don't need as many sales. And most of the time what we do, and we're running around trying to get more sales, we don't need as many sales to get as much money, because we're making more from what we've got, which means when we do start to get more, we make even more. So maximizing your top end clients is one of the best things that you could possibly do. And your clients will thank you for it as well, because, you know, some clients aren't going to want to do it, and they don't have to. Perfect. That's all good. And they continue getting exactly what they were getting before, and they're already happy. But there's some in there that may even be craving deeper intimacy, more speed, less effort. They might even be craving that stuff, and they might even leave you to go and find that from someone else who's charging 2 to 5 times more than you. So you may as well get it yourself. So this means identify the handful of clients who you want to serve on an even deeper level, and do so. This could be in-person stuff. So one of my favorite things to do is, and sometimes this is non-clients, sometimes this is clients, but I do an in-person deep dive where they come over to me in Manchester, and we spend 4 hours together, and we just lock in on their business, and we just build the whole thing. It's really, really fun. Or it may be more intimacy. So they might get more calls with you, more access to you on WhatsApp or something else. It may be more speed. So you might be able to do things inside of this newer, like higher tier offer, where you can get them to the result that they've already signed up for way faster. It might be ease, so you can get them to that result much easier. And it might just actually just be more chance of the result actually happening, or lower the risk of this not happening. So for some people, this might be in-person stuff. For some people, this might be like closer coaching. For some people, this might even be done for you stuff. So they've signed up to have this thing, you know, to have help doing this thing. And then you might even say, look, why don't you just pay me and I can do it for you? And by the way, this doesn't have to be like a specific tier of your offer. It can also just be add-ons. You know, the one-to-one in-person deep dive is an add-on that isn't an ongoing thing, but it's an add-on. And then especially when you are signing up a lot of clients, having these add-ons really, really can help to increase the lifetime value of each and every client. So they're the 3 things that helped me get this thing. And they're also the things that are going to help you build your business in 2026. So let's actually look at these things, because they're kind of over here. Right now, right, the people that are struggling have just got one core offer. So the first thing to do is add a higher tier. Hope you can see this. Yeah, you can. Add a higher tier. Boom, straight away, you know, 2 extra price, and give like 2 times the value, and you're going to be pretty happy here. Down the line, at some point, you might do like a community offer, but right now, let's not even talk about that. You don't need that. And then you have an acquisition offer. So this is just ongoing support. Then here, you might say, you know, 4 to 6 week install. So you might install the first thing that they actually need throughout the rest of your program in 4 to 6 weeks. And this is sold for a nice, easy price to get people through the door. And then you might give them the install content, which might be like 50, including call, right? So whatever you're installing for them here over on the install for 4 to 6 weeks together, which is easy to create a client, and then they can go into your ongoing program. You can create a micro offer where they get all of the information to do that, and maybe they get a one-on-one call with you as well, which effectively becomes like a paid sales call. So then you can sell this, which is really easy. You can pretty much sell this daily. You can pretty much sell this weekly, and this is just there to, this is there to continue to serve them and to build up recurring revenue. And then, of course, if you've got lots of people here, this single move right here is just increase how much some people are paying you and then going deep with them. It's actually really fulfilling, especially if you've been a coach for a while and you know you want to just go deeper with your clients. It's really, really fulfilling, and you can instantly make a lot more money. I think that's everything. One more thing. So this brings us back to two big philosophies of the aligned creator that I really, really want you to kind of drum into your head, right? Number one, turn your ideas into assets and sell them to get consumption and create clients. Easy, right? So with my clients, I like them to all have one big core offer where a lot of things happen, right? They create assets for their clients. They help their clients. They run calls for their clients. Everything happens in this one program. They turn their ideas into assets, meaning they turn their ideas into things that actually help people. And then they put them into their program so the clients can use it. We can take those, sell them to your audience, and then it turns leads into customers. These customers are then going to consume you and actually get results from you, and they're going to actually pay attention because they have actually paid. And when you can, create a lot of those, so eventually you can get to the point where you're creating, 10, 20 of those every single month or more, especially if you run ads to something, you can make hundreds a month. Then you're getting a lot of people that really know what you do because they're really, really consuming you. The next thing is, and I've already said this in this video, make it really easy to create a client and then easy for them to pay you more. Again, the problem that so many coaches have is they make it really hard for clients to become clients. They put everything in the way. And most of the time it's out of, I only want a client if they're going to commit to me for 12 months or they're only going to commit to me for 6 months. Okay, cool. But there's not going to be many people. It's just not going to be many people. Yeah, maybe they are going to be more committed because they have been willing to commit, but it's much less people. So you can't have really high standards for the exact conditions you need someone to join you in and also moan about not making enough clients, right? At some point we have to just kind of flow with human nature and be like, well, how are most humans actually going to operate here? Well, most humans, if they've failed achieving this goal for the last 5 to 10 years of their life, well, they're probably not going to trust themselves to commit to a whole year of doing it this time around just because you're there, So make it really easy to create a client. So have these shorter term offers, and shorter term offers, by the way, are just so much easier to sell because people really buy just off the vision of the future. That's just really why people buy, right? People buy when they can imagine themselves with this result and it's worth the amount of money that you're saying that they need to pay. And they could also believe that they're actually going to be able to get there. None of those things are true. They're like, okay, cool. That sounds good. Let me buy. It's a lot easier to create that, the belief and the clear vision of the future when it's only 4 weeks away or only 6 weeks away. You can really, really see it versus 6 months or 12 months away. It's ages away. It's really hard for them to actually envision what their life is going to be like down the line. So nice, short, easy, still getting paid a nice amount, but nice, short, easy to say yes to acquisition offers on the front end. Make it really easy to create a client. They also, by the way, without going too deep into acquisition offers themselves, because it's like a 4 to 6 week thing, inside your marketing, you can cycle through different acquisition offers. And basically you're able to reskin your offer or re-articulate your offer and talk about your offer in totally different ways because you're able to touch on different parts of the overall program that you've got. And because you're doing that, it just gets so much more attention in a campaign or in your marketing or whatever else. It gets so much more attention than just saying the same program's opened up again, which eventually just doesn't do anything. When you can cycle through different things, it gets so much more attention and they can end up in the same place anyway, just with different intentions to actually achieve something. So make it easy to create a client and then make it really easy for them to pay you more. So the big takeaway here is sometimes this constant hunt for new leads. Like if I ask any coach, like what's their biggest bottleneck? It's always new leads. I need more leads. This constant hunt for new leads is the actual thing that's holding people back. Most coaches actually, and I know this because, I sign up clients and in the first 4 weeks, sometimes one guy that's on my mind right now, we made him 12,000 euros in banked in the first 4 weeks, or in the first campaign that we did, without any new followers, without any new leads. Well, there were leads in that, but no followers, no new traffic, just because we actually used his audience much, much better. So most coaches really just need to be efficient with the leads that they've already got and do these things and kind of keep up with the times of what's actually working now. So that's everything. That is how, let me turn it back to me. How do I get it back to me? 1 second, guys. Never mind. I'm going to just have to give up. No, I'm here. Didn't make much of a difference. But that's how I made a $25,000 cash collected week without signing any clients. But most importantly, this is what it means for you. And hopefully you can take this and you can use it and you can make a lot of money yourself.